At 80, my daughter told me I should be grateful she was willing to keep me. So I decided to show her exactly what I was worth. It happened on a rainy evening, the kind where the sky feels heavy, like it's holding on to something it can't quite let go. I was sitting by the window, knitting slowly, listening to the soft tapping of rain against the glass. My daughter Rebecca stood in the doorway, arms crossed. "You know," she said, her voice sharp but controlled, "not everyone your age is lucky enough to have somewhere to go." I didn't look at her right away. I just kept knitting, because sometimes silence makes people reveal more than arguments ever could. "You should be grateful," she continued. "I mean, I didn't have to take you in. There it was. Not love. Not care. A transaction." I placed the knitting needles down gently and turned toward her. "Grateful," I repeated softly. She sighed, clearly irritated. "Yes, Mom. Grateful. I've got my own life, my own responsibilities. Having you here, it's not exactly easy." I studied her face. This was the same girl I had stayed up with through sleepless nights. The same girl whose dreams I had protected, even when it meant sacrificing my own. And now, I was an inconvenience. "I see," I said quietly. And in that moment, something inside me shifted. Not anger. Not sadness. Clarity. The next morning I woke up early. Earlier than usual. The house was quiet. Rebecca had already left for work. I made myself a cup of tea, sat at the kitchen table, and opened the small folder I had kept hidden for years. Inside were documents. Carefully prepared. Carefully protected. Because life teaches you something important when you live long enough. You don't wait until you're powerless to make decisions. You prepare while you still can. That afternoon, Rebecca came home to an empty house. No note this time. No explanation. Just absence. And one missing thing. Me. I moved into a small apartment across town. Nothing extravagant. But it was mine. Every corner of it. Every decision inside it. Mine. For the first time in months, I could breathe without feeling like I was occupying someone else's space. Days passed quietly. Peacefully. Until, of course, the phone started ringing. "Mom, where are you? Why did you leave? This isn't funny." Funny. I almost laughed. But I didn't answer. Not yet. Because this wasn't about making a point with words. This was about letting actions speak. A week later, there was a knock on my door. Sharp. Urgent. I opened it slowly. Rebecca stood there, her face tight with frustration. "What are you doing?" she demanded, stepping inside without waiting. "You just left. Do you have any idea how worried I've been?" I closed the door calmly. "I imagine it was inconvenient," I said. She stopped, blinking. "What? Inconvenient?" I repeated. "Having to think about me, without me being there." Her expression hardened. "That's not fair." I tilted my head slightly. "Isn't it?" Silence stretched between us. Uncomfortable. Honest. She looked around the apartment. Small. Simple. Independent. "You can't stay here," she said finally. "This place, it's not suitable." "For whom?" I asked. "For you," she snapped. "You're 80 years old." I smiled faintly. "And yet, I managed to get here on my own." That hit something. I saw it in her eyes. Doubt. Realization. "Mom," she said, her voice softer now. "I was just trying to help." I nodded slowly. "Help," I repeated. That word again. I walked past her, sitting down calmly. "Tell me something, Rebecca," I continued. "When you said I should be grateful, what exactly was I supposed to be grateful for?" She opened her mouth, then closed it, because the answer didn't sound right anymore. I let the silence sit, because now, she needed to hear it. "I raised you to stand on your own feet," I said quietly, "not to remind others when they can't." Her eyes dropped. "I didn't mean it like that," she whispered. "Maybe not," I said gently, "but that's how it felt." I reached for the folder on the table, the same one, and placed it in front of her. "What's this?" she asked. "Open it." She hesitated, then did. As she flipped through the pages, her expression changed. Confusion, then shock, then something deeper. "Mom," she said slowly, "what is this?" I folded my hands. Everything I built, I replied. Savings, investments, property, assets she never knew existed, because I never needed to show them. Until now. You have all this? She asked, her voice unsteady. I nodded. Yes. Silence. Heavy. Unavoidable. Then why? She stopped. Why were you living with me? I smiled softly. Because I thought I was living with my daughter, I said. That landed hard. She sat down slowly, still holding the papers. I didn't know, she whispered. No, I replied. You didn't ask. Another silence. Different this time. Not defensive. Reflective. I stood, walking toward the window. The rain had stopped. The sky was clearer now. I don't need to be kept, I said calmly. And I don't need permission to live my life. I turned back to her. But I do need respect. Tears filled her eyes. I'm sorry, Mom. Maybe she meant it. Maybe she didn't. But that wasn't the point anymore. I walked to the door and opened it. Not as a dismissal. As a choice. You're welcome in my life, I said gently. But not as someone doing me a favor. She nodded slowly. Understanding. Finally beginning to settle in. And as she stepped out, I realized something simple. Power isn't about proving what you have. It's about never needing to beg for your place. I closed the door softly behind her. And for the first time, I wasn't being kept. I was simply living.